Welcome to video number 3 of module number 3, and this is the Radical Transformation Worksheet, applying the strategy of radical forgiveness to world events. So I'm going to go through this step by step and just read it out, and then after that I will speak about the Radical Transformation Worksheet that I did personally in response to the Sandy Hook school shooting. But first, just step by step through the worksheet. And as usual, just like every other worksheet, it starts from whatever the story is and works right the way through to a reframe of some sort. So number 1, what is happening in the world now that disturbs me is, this can be anything that's not affecting you personally, but is upsetting for you to observe happening out there in the world. Crimes, disasters, murders, wars, shooting, and so on. The kind of thing you see on the news every day. Don't ignore them by doing a spiritual bypass. Transform them by completing this worksheet. That's a form of being of service. So number 2, the feelings I am experiencing about this situation include, well, you know the adage, you can't heal what you don't feel. So let yourself feel the feelings. Observe yourself feeling them and being judgmental. And so you're given the choice there to check off which feelings that you have. Fear, anger, helplessness, apathy, panic, anxiety, aloneness, hopelessness, abandonment, betrayal, despondency, and then any other feeling that you might be feeling right now or in response to that event. Number 3, I'm noticing my automatic knee-jerk reactions to the situation, such as, I want to lay blame, punish those responsible, get something done about it, change something, complain, be right, I told you so, scream, go fix it myself, demonstrate, declare war, get revenge, and any other knee-jerk reaction that comes to mind. We naturally respond to unpleasant events by reacting spontaneously without really giving a lot of thought to it. Our responses are always emotional in nature, but it's good to reflect on them. Fantasizing about them is good therapy too, but seldom forms the basis for any rational action. Number 4. If I had infinite power and authority over this situation, I would. And now you fantasize as much as you like and don't censor your thoughts. If you think people are to blame, include any dark, negative thoughts that might be running through your mind. Number 5. In spite of my initial feelings of, and you pull from 2, what you had up there, and my initial knee-jerk reactions, pull from number 3, the actions I can take that might make a practical difference is, for example, I can send money, or I can go and help, I can write a letter, or I volunteer, become a whistleblower, protest, and so on. And note, of course, it may well be nothing. Even though we're bringing the thought to the situation that there is a spiritual purpose behind what has happened, we must acknowledge that we're still in the world of humanity. There is a physical reality we must work with and in which we have a responsibility to be in action, to alleviate suffering and do what is right in human terms. But then we come to number 6. However, what I know I can do, in addition to the above, even if it's nothing, that will make a big difference energetically, is to read out loud the Radical Forgiveness Invocation, plus the proclamations that follow. So here is the invocation. May we all stand firm in the knowledge and comfort that all things are now, have always been, and forever will be, in divine order, unfolding according to a divine plan. And may we truly surrender to this truth whether we understand it or not. And may we ask for support in consciousness in feeling our connection with the divine part of us, with everyone and everything, so that we can truly say and feel we are one. Number 7. Having read the above Radical Forgiveness Invocation, I now realize that what is occurring out there is perfect just the way it is, and all part of the divine plan. Now you say this even if you don't believe it. You always have to fake it till you make it when you get to this part. Step number 8. In being willing to see it this way, I'm opening the way for myself and others to awaken to the truth. And by holding the vision of a healed world, I am making a huge contribution to facilitating a shifting consciousness where such situations as in box 1 have no need to occur. So own your power to make a difference in this way. Imagine what would happen if many thousands of people did this worksheet. The world would be different immediately. Step number 9. I hereby declare that I'm willing to hold this higher vibration and to resist all temptation in the future to react to events with fear and despondency. Whenever I feel myself slipping back into fear, I'm taking 6 deep breaths in order to bring myself back to my center and maintain my vibration. Step number 10. I realize now, too, that what was happening out there was a reflection of something that needs or needed to be healed in me. What it may be mirroring for me is, or was, and there you put in anything that you feel was a part of your shadow that was being reflected. Step number 11. In forgiving this situation in box 1, I have automatically forgiven myself, and I am grateful for the healing. And step number 12. I am centered now and have released the need to continue feeling what I was feeling in 2 above, and I choose peace. And you sign and date the worksheet. Doesn't seem a whole lot, but it is an energetic instrument, and that energy goes out into the universe and it has an effect. Now, I promised I would read you what I wrote in response to the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting that took place in Newtown, Connecticut, December 14th, 2012. And I put this out as a blog. Step number 1. What is happening in the world now that disturbs me is the shooting of 20 children and 6 adults at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut. It was tragic in the extreme, and it's appalling to me that anyone could possibly feel driven to gun down young, innocent children, no matter how deranged the guy was. The Sandy Hook event touched a nerve in America, where all previous mass shootings had been soon forgotten, with nothing done to try to put an end to the carnage that happens, not just occasionally, but every day. One horrible statistic that I find sickening is that unless something is done to shift attitudes, by the time Obama's second term is over, in those 4 years, that is from now, more people in the U.S. will have died through gunshot wounds than all the Americans who died in both the First and Second World Wars combined. That's according to research done by Bloomberg's. This is scandalous for a country that purports to be civilized. I am disgusted by how this is tolerated by most and even lauded by some who think it's worth the price, compared to not being able to have the kind of gun that can kill 20 kids and 6 adults in less than 10 seconds without their being licensed. What if it were their kids who were shot to pieces? Would they think it was still worth the price? Step number 2. The feelings I'm experiencing about this situation include anger. Yes, I'm mad as hell about it. Helplessness. Yes, in the face of the almost manic resistance and intransigence of those who would have us do nothing, not even things that seem to be ordinary common sense, I do feel helpless. Hopelessness. Yes, I don't have much hope that the violent streak in American culture will abate anytime soon. We're addicted to violence in films, video games, football, and so on. Kids are taught from a very early age that the answer to everything is to shoot to kill. We have a terrible lust for violence. Despondency. Yes. In the face of all this, I do feel very despondent. that the human race can ever come to its senses and stop acting like a bunch of morons. I cannot see any way that the gun thing in America will ever change. The genie is out of the bottle on that one. Step number 3. Yes, I'm noticing my automatic knee-jerk reaction to this situation, such as laying blame on the NRA and self-interested politicians afraid of the NRA, the gun lobby, the people who fantasize that the government is trying to take their guns away and they might in future need them to defend themselves. But from whom? Whom will they shoot? I also blame the mental health system that is now totally inadequate. I also blame the feeble authorities who fail to enforce existing gun laws because they're beholden to the NRA. I'd like to punish those individuals. Well, since the perpetrator is dead, we can't punish him, but we can punish some other people who seem to be responsible for this happening all the time. Yes, I'd like to get something done about it. Lobby the politicians to go against the NRA and get something done to change the gun laws. Change something. Yes, ban the big gun magazines and the military-style assault weapons. Yes, I am right. I did tell you so. I've been saying this gun culture is sick for years. I come from a country that doesn't allow people to have guns unless they're licensed, and where the rate of death by guns is minuscule compared to the United States. So it's easy to be righteous about how crazy things have become in this country, where thousands are murdered every year. Well, the worksheet says right here about the ones that you just checked, and any others that have come to mind. But I wrote my comments next to the knee-jerk reactions that came to my mind at the time. So now I go to step number 4. If I had infinite power and authority over the situation, I would, and then it encourages me to fantasize as much as I like and don't censor my thoughts. Well, if I had infinite power over the situation, I would put the leaders of the NRA up against the wall and shoot the lot of them. Then I would fire all the deadbeat politicians who are only interested in their own re-election. I would make sure that every gun owner was licensed to have a gun, and I would put in prison for 5 years anyone who's found to own one illegally or sold one to someone who is not licensed. I would take a sledgehammer to all those machines that have shoot-'em-up video games on them. I would quadruple the amount of money spent on mental health to make sure people get the help they need. Number 5, in spite of my initial feelings of whatever I put in number 2, which was anger, helplessness, hopelessness, despondency, and my initial knee-jerk reactions, which I put in number 3, which was laying blame, being righteous, and trying to get things changed, the actions that I can take that might make a practical difference is to, for example, in some cases, but not probably in this one, send money, go and help the situation, write a letter, volunteer, become a whistleblower, protest, etc. And we have to admit that it might well be nothing. The most I can do is to write to my congressman and senator. I can write something about it in my blog to get people fired up about it. Step number 6. However, what I know I can do, in addition to the above, even if it's nothing, that will make a big difference energetically, is to read out loud the Radical Forgiveness Invocation, plus the proclamations that follow, knowing that even while I am feeling angry and upset, I know that this will make a difference to the situation at the spiritual level. So the Radical Forgiveness Invocation. May we all stand firm in the knowledge and comfort that all things are now, have always been, and forever will be, in divine order, unfolding according to a divine plan. And may we truly surrender to this truth whether we understand it or not. May we also ask for support in consciousness in feeling our connection with the divine part of us, with everyone and with everything, so that we can truly say and feel we are one. Step number 7. Having read the above Radical Forgiveness Invocation, I now realize that what is occurring out there is perfect just the way it is, and all part of the divine plan. Am I willing, open, skeptical, or unwilling to accept this statement? Well, at the time I underlined skeptical. I was still feeling pretty bad about it. Number 8. In being willing to see it this way, I'm opening the way for myself and others to awaken to the truth, and that by holding the vision of a healed world, I'm making a huge contribution to facilitating a shift in consciousness where such situations as in box 1 have no further need to occur. On this one I checked open. That was an improvement. Number 9. I hereby declare that I'm willing to hold this higher vibration and to resist all temptation in the future to react to events with fear and despondency. Whenever I feel myself slipping back into fear, I'm taking 6 deep breaths in order to bring myself back to my center and maintain my vibration. And I got as far as checking willing on this one. And I did take 6 long, deep breaths, which did make a difference. It brought me to a much calmer state. Number 10. I realize now, too, that what was happening out there was a reflection of something that needs or needed to be healed in me. What it may be mirroring for me is, or was, my own lust for violence and the desire for revenge is what I wrote at the time. My own lust for violence and my desire for revenge. Number 11. In forgiving the situation in box 1, I have automatically forgiven myself, and I am grateful for the healing. Number 12. I am centered now and have released the need to continue feeling what I was feeling in 2 above. And I choose peace now. And I signed and dated it. So you'll notice that when I was reading this, I was probably saying all these statements about forgiveness and it all being perfect. I was saying more or less through clenched teeth, having no belief in it, feeling raw, and yet there was a shift. I felt it. It was only slight, but I felt it. But I am convinced that when we do this, it does make a difference. That when we do this, that it helped people who were closely involved and were suffering in that situation, the families and children, other children. So I know that it has an effect and it's worth doing. It takes a few minutes. It helps us to come to a place of peace about this, but it does more than that, more than we know. And we have no other choice but to do it.